everybody, I'm Kimberly Turner from cookingwithkimberly.com, and tonight I'm going to show you a fantastic dessert. This is how to bake Napa Valley strawberry balsamic and rhubarb pie. Oh, it's going to be so yummy. Alright, so I'm going to get started. First of all, I'm going to start mixing up my filling so that it can sit and just kind of marinate together for a little while. So in a large mixing bowl, I'm going to combine 5 cups of rhubarb. Now this is rhubarb that I had frozen with a little bit of sugar, okay? This total recipe calls for 1 3/4 cups of sugar. However, I did package this with maybe a cup of sugar if I'm trying to remember, and I'm also going to use some strawberry jam, which has some sweetness. So I'm going to cut down my sugar content, but if you're using just rhubarb that you've just cut or you froze it without sugar, then go ahead and make sure you have about 1 3/4 cup of sugar combined. So into my bowl goes these 5 cups. I'm using 3/4 cup of jam. Now you could use half of a cup here and then make a drizzle for the end with about 1/4 cup, but I'm just gonna add it all together. This is strawberry freezer jam that we made ourselves. Make sure you check out that recipe as well. I'm gonna add just a couple of drops of vanilla. I don't wanna overpower it because the main flavors here are the strawberry and the rhubarb, but I am gonna add maybe 3 or 4 drops of vanilla. I'm adding just a pinch of salt. Now I've reduced my sugar content because I told you about the other sugar in here, so I'm using 1 1/4 cup-ish. Now I'm going to use 4 tablespoons of cornstarch. That's going to help thicken up this mixture, especially since I have quite a lot of liquid since it was frozen in my rhubarb. I'm actually going to stir that through immediately so that it doesn't just all clump up. Lovely. It mixed together nicely because it's a very cold mixture. I got lucky. So I'm going to add 6 tablespoons of flour. Now this is for the same reason as the cornstarch. It's going to help thicken up that mixture so that it congeals nicely for the pie. Mix that through. You don't want any lumps. Now I'm going to save a little bit of flour here for my bench when I'm rolling out my pie crust. You can use any kind of pie crust you like. I'm using a basic Mom's Classic pie crust, and I'm just going to roll it out. But you can use a store-bought if you really like, or whatever recipe you prefer. Okay, I've had mine already prepared and it's been in the fridge cooling. Now I'm going to add the pièce de résistance to this recipe, and that's the Napa Valley strawberry balsamic vinegar. This stuff is so delicious. It's so vibrant and so intense in strawberry flavor. It's nice and sweet. It comes out with the consistency of maple syrup. It's nice and thick. Make sure you check out my review on this stuff. I'm going to show you the bottle. And this comes from Wine Country Kitchens. You can check them out online at winecountrykitchens.com. They also have a wide variety of these balsamics in fantastic flavors. Make sure you check out my recipes on these guys. Wow, really versatile. Not only for desserts, but on meats and glazes and marinades and on cheeses and fruit and ice cream. You name it. It's delicious. This stuff is really, really great. And it actually has a sweet strawberry puree that's mixed in with this fantastic high-quality balsamic from Modena, Italy. So it's really, really nice. Also, it's quite sweet, so this is also going to add another layer of sweetness, but also a really great layer of flavor. All right, in it goes. I'm going to add, I think, let me see what's going on here. I'm going to add 2 to 3 tablespoons at least. I'm going to start with 2 and taste it. Now this is going to add a little bit of tang and a little bit of sweetness and a nice complexity to this recipe that otherwise wouldn't be there. Let's just do a quick taste test for sweetness and for flavor. That's delicious. Wow. All right, I'm going to add 1 more tablespoon just because it's that good. There we go. So that's 3 tablespoons of the strawberry balsamic. Yummy. Stir that all up, and we're going to let that sit and just let the flour and the cornstarch start to absorb some of that liquid. I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of tapioca just to help thicken this pie filling up. It is a little bit liquid, and that'll help a lot. So there we go. There's our filling ready. And I'm just going to roll out my pie crust you don't really need to watch me do this. You can do your own pie crust, and you can also check out my recipes on these and the shows to help you. In the meantime, preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit so that we can get it started, because this won't take but any time. Okay, I have my bottom crust prepared, and I'm actually going to do a top crust as well. So I just roughly have the edges, and I'm going to spoon the mixture into it. Make sure that your pie crust is pushed into the edges. Just use your knuckles, they work really well, okay? Now instead of just dumping everything in here, I'm going to use a ladle. Ladle that in. You want to distribute it all evenly. Boy, I have enough here for probably 2 pies if I wanted. Okay, I do have more left, so you could always make another pie, or you could do a whole bunch of little tartlets if you wanted to. I'm just going to save that pie filling for another time. Now I'm going to, it looks beautiful, first off, let me just say. It's a gorgeous like magenta color with those green flecks of rhubarb. It's going to be great. Alright, so top crust. I don't always do a top crust, but I did have a little bit extra pie crust today. So I'm just going to roll that over the top. Now thankfully, pie crust is quite forgiving. So if you need to just do a little patchwork, then it's easy to do. So I'm just going to lay this on top. Hope that I rolled it out big enough, and I pretty much did. And I'm just going to cut around so that I can pinch it and scallop it all. Now just scallop those edges nicely, pinch the top crust and the bottom crust together. You want to leave a little bit of the crust off the edge of that pie plate on the bottom as well as the top so that you can crimp it together. You want to make a nice seal. So just use your thumb and forefinger so that you can just pinch that dough together and make a nice little scallop pattern around. So as you see here, I have that little scallop pattern going on, okay? Now I'm going to cut a little shape out of the middle so that it can steam and vent. That liquid has to go somewhere, and I don't want it to ooze out of everywhere on this pie crust wherever it feels like. Also, I'm going to add a little bit of butter into that hole. So I'm going to try and do like a little strawberry design. Use a really sharp knife, and I'm going to take that piece of dough out. Now I'm going to add some butter to that, to the center. Make sure your oven is preheating to 350 degrees, and then we're going to finish up this crust and get it in the oven. So I'm going to coat the top of my pie crust with a little bit of cream. You can use milk if you like. I'm just using a basting brush. That's going to help it brown up nicely. The milk solids will do a good job at browning up. And to finish it off, I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of sugar on the top of this crust. Not only will that give nice texture, but it will caramelize up some and be tasty too. Just a light dusting. And into the oven, my beautiful pie is going. That's what it looks like, my little strawberry shape, and in it goes. All right, that's gonna bake up for about 45 to 50 minutes. We're gonna check on it and just make sure that rhubarb, especially since it was frozen, will be tender for sure. And that's pretty much all we're looking for, is that flour and the cornstarch are cooked out and the fruit is nice and tender. So we're gonna be good, okay? We wanna make sure that that crust is nice and brown as well. See you then. I would say check it in about 30 minutes just to make sure it looks okay, and then we'll see you later. Now I love having things ready for, especially if people just come over or I need something quickly made, a dessert. I often have pie crust already made in the freezer. I usually make more than one batch so that I'm ready and I'm prepared for next time, and it's just easier for me. If you're gonna go to all that trouble to make pie crust, then you might as well make some extra. Also, the same thing goes for pie filling. I have all kinds of pie fillings in my freezer ready to go in large mason jars, and they're pretty much already measured out and ready to go. So I just need to defrost them and throw them in a pie. Easy. Okay, I think this pie is done. This pie is super duper hot, so we're gonna let this cool completely down before we taste it. You won't even be able to slice into it, it'll just all ooze apart, so don't do that. But it looks gorgeous. Look at this pie. Look at that. I can't really tip it, okay? The top crust is nice and browned up and gorgeous with help of that cream and a little bit of sugar. It smells wonderful. Now don't cut into it right now because it'll just ooze all apart. We have to let this cool completely. It's gonna take at least an hour to cool down for sure. It looks fantastic though. Now I checked it at 30 minutes just to make sure all was well. I checked it at 45 minutes. It needed more time. I went about an hour, hour and 5, and it was nice and done. Especially if you're using a top crust, you need to make sure that that is nice and browned up. You don't want that to be doughy at all, okay? So we're gonna let this sit and cool for a good hour or so, and you'll see us then. You can serve it with whipped cream, you can serve it with ice cream, whatever, or you can serve it just by itself, all right? We'll see you then. All right, my pie has cooled down. It's beautiful. Look, the strawberry almost looks like a heart, right? Very nice. The crust looks nice and browned and crispy. And I'm gonna slice them up. Now you may have noticed that some of it has come apart at the seams here. That happens to the best of pies. Just saying, it's homemade. The crust is nice and crunchy and crispy. Let's see if I can get this first piece out okay. It's always the hardest piece to get out. Oh, it came out beautifully. Look at that. Now using the cornstarch and the tapioca and the flour really helps in solidifying, congealing that inside. Look at that. Perfectly cut. Awesome, right? That's what you're looking for. So there you have your lovely slice. Serve it up with a little bit of ice cream if you like. And you've got yourself one beautiful dessert. So I'm gonna bring this piece to Mom. So I'm gonna get a piece. Now a nice touch would be a small drizzle of this strawberry balsamic. Beautiful. Isn't that pretty? You could do a design on the plate. You could swirl it on top of the ice cream. So let's try it. Now I love rhubarb pie to begin with, but adding strawberry to it is fantastic. But adding the strawberry balsamic, this sweet stuff, oh, it gives another richness and dimension. That's a lovely pie. You can see how it's all mixed through. You have that beautiful rhubarb, some lovely strawberry flavors, and it's a little bit darker because of the balsamic. What a lovely pie. Think outside the box. Now rhubarb and strawberry are a classic combination already. Now that's a beautiful pie. I'm gonna finish this. I baked very, very late last night, and I figured we'd wait till today to try it. So it worked out perfectly, and I'm so happy to see that it did. And it cut beautifully. So that's a really nice ratio of ingredients to make sure that that liquid congeals. Anyhow, that's how you do it. That's how you bake a Napa Valley strawberry balsamic rhubarb pie. Just as awesome as it sounds, all right? Make sure you check out Wine Country Kitchens online for this strawberry balsamic vinegar, as well as their other flavors in this line. Beautiful, beautiful, amazing flavors, okay? Very versatile vinegar. You can use it for your desserts. You can use it for savory things. Sky's the limit with this stuff. It's just your imagination that's gonna limit you. Anyhow, I hope you check them out online at winecountrykitchens.com. All right? Follow me on Twitter at cookingwithkimE with a capital E. Like the fan page at facebook.com/cookingwithkimberly. My shows are on ifood.tv/cookingwithkimberly, youtube.com/cookingwithkimberly, and you can find me syndicated on Roku. Come to my website at cookingwithkimberly.com and subscribe, interact with us, and let us know what's going down in your culinary world, all right? Be a champion in your kitchen and eat deliciously. Bye. That's good.